Uh-oh. Budget looks like it's overcorrected a little bit. We're going to talk about what we're seeing in the market as real estate agents and the implications on the Labor government we think is going to happen. Stay tuned.
I'm the ringleader, so listen up.
Josh Wapshot, the DY economist. How are you?
Good, Mr. Novak. How are you going?
Yeah, good. Like, I'm not going to pretend I know what I'm talking about because like politically, I'm just a real estate agent in DY, but we can tell you what we're seeing in DY, and you certainly know your stuff. Tell us, Josh, what do you got to say?
Yeah, well, interesting article came out yesterday in regards to credit ratings for New South Wales and Queensland government specifically. Now, guys, think of a credit rating similar to, take it as an individual that goes and applies for finance. Obviously, the less defaults, the better profile you've had, history, income. The better rates, the better the profile, the better the LVR, the less the risk, generally the better rate you get. And it's the same story for state governments. So based on debt levels, projected incomes, they'll be able to give a credit rating. Now here in Australia, they do this state by state, but it's also done country to country as well, the International Monetary Fund. So back here in Oz, with the changes in government policy, particularly the budget, obviously we've seen a slowdown in transactions across the real estate market, and what that has basically come to is a drop in stamp duty and land tax related collections from the New South Wales and Queensland government, and they're pretty big, Mark. Basically, they released some figures or projections for over the next 4 years. And New South Wales, as an example, is looking to collect about 8.4 billion less over the next 4 years. Well, that's what they're projecting due to the changes in the marketplace.
Oh,
so
oopsie daisies.
Yeah, obviously. So now we're starting to see not only mum and dad around the family table affected by these changes in the property market, but it's now starting to affect the government itself in regards to the funds that it's collecting. And obviously this affects things like infrastructure projects, schools, funding across state governments. And that change in income that's projected is talks that these credit ratings haven't changed, but essentially they're changing. They potentially could change from a AA plus to a AA. And generally what happens is AA plus or AAA plus is your top tier. As you move your way down to a single A, it moves to B's and C's. The lower your rating, the more expensive it is to borrow. So your cash is more expensive because you're seen as a riskier individual or entity to loan to based on now that they're receiving less income. So I thought it was really interesting to start that we're only with March, July, we're only not even 6 months into these changes, and already not only mum and dads are starting to feel the pain, but it's now getting to government levels, which is generally, it's big information.
And look, I think it's just created the biggest pause button we've ever seen in terms of people. Do you remember straight after COVID, there was just this huge pause button pressed on everything. Anyone that could pause, did pause, should pause, did pause, could pause, whatever paused. And then it sort of started coming back slowly, then boom, it was really busy. This is going to be really interesting to see how it does come back and when it does come back. But people have definitely pushed the pause button. Now, I've personally always been a person, Josh, when everyone zigs, I like to zag. I've actually seen some huge opportunities coming into the market. And what people don't realize is with property today, um, I think the biggest beneficiary of in the entire property market has been residential rents. So I think if you're to say let's invest and let's for the sake of investing in our future, which is making money, I think if there was one category that it would be the clear winner, would it be residential sales? No. Commercial sales? No. Commercial rents? No. Um, I would say residential rents would be the biggest beneficiary of this shitstorm that we've seen in the last 3 months. So I think if you want to go where the money goes, off the back of what we're talking about today, back residential rents.
Definitely. And I think it's, this then becomes a fiscal problem for governments, and it's just a matter of, they're often quite easy if the people like us are suffering with the cost of living, etc. But when it starts to hurt the government, I feel like there's a little bit more, incentive or motivation to maybe change things up. So it'll be interesting to see how far they let this go, and whether or not they come in to do something, or things like loosening monetary policy. Like, do they look to cut rates to spur the market on, to push up transaction volumes and prices again? You got to pretty much look at it is, if prices are down 10%, so is their stamp duty collection at the end of the day. So I think it's an interesting kettle of fish here, or bowl of don't know how to say it, but yeah, it'll be interesting to see how they act in terms of policy to counteract this. Obviously, you can't let this go for too long. Another big thing to consider for Queensland, especially, is you've got the Olympics coming up. So you're looking at a massive amount of spending that's going to be going on in that Queensland state.
Infrastructure, yeah.
They'll be looking at a pretty big deficit. I was doing some numbers while we were looking at, how much money these governments or these state governments are going to lose out on over the next 4 years, and it looks like there's a pretty big deficit coming to the Queensland state with all the spending with the Olympics coming up. So better hope that it reaps the rewards from the tourism and etc. Because it's going to be big. Yeah, hit it on the head, Luke. Hit it straight, nail on the head.
Dumb shit policy.
Yeah.
Dumb shit policy. Well, I think it took what people don't realise is this sort of stuff often takes years to come in, so it doesn't go out quick. If it does go out, I know everyone's wishing upon a star, but I think we sort of got to assimilate, get used to it. And I've been saying it over and over. It's like energy. It doesn't get burnt or buried. It gets transferred. Money doesn't get burnt or buried. It just gets transferred. So we just have to work out where it's going in terms of being investors or people of the community, where you look at, okay, these are the goalposts. Now we have to work out where we go. So, when COVID happened, we looked at that and said, okay, we understand that we can't do this and we can't do that and we can't do this. And then it took us a while. We worked out what we could do in business, commerce, lifestyle, whatever, and then did that. So I think it's just going to be really interesting to see how this plays out, because it's pretty clear since the budgets dropped, the holes that have been developed. And then what's not clear is how we're going to fill those holes, and what people are going to do with investment and themselves. I certainly know that we want to attract business internationally, and we want to build and we want to do more, but I haven't seen that yet.
No, and neither. It's what sort of is crazy to me as well is, what sort of planning went into the background with these changes, what sort of experts were consulted. Like, lot of the interviews you see with these, the people that are making these decisions, it seems as though they don't even know what they're really, talking about or what the follow-on effects are. And this has come around so quick, it makes you think, did they not see this coming either? And then you start to see other policies and programs like your NDIS, and they've got, boards of how to spend more money. You look at all these different things and you just think, sometimes you hit yourself on the head. It's all a little bit backwards, and it's frustrating. Yeah.
But I just wish I had a crystal ball, because that's what we want to be doing. Understanding how we got here, sure, but I think understanding where we're going, that's really where the gift is. Me personally, it's nice. I love our business because we've got optics over, commercial, industrial, residential, strata, 2,000 landlords and their families and what they're doing. And me personally, I reckon I would be sticking to strata purchases, not Torrens Title, and I'd be sticking to commercial industrial, a little bit in super, most of it out of super. As the way forward now, probably for the next year or two, I wouldn't be buying a big lumpy industrial property with heaps of land tax, or I probably would be buying a second-hand house. I just think with that, they're clearly, those types of assets are clearly ruled out on the back of taxes. So pretty interesting.
It is. It's a very interesting landscape, and you have to be even smarter. Well, let's hope so, Luke. 6 to 12 months of more pain, then it'll likely change.
Yeah, I know, but what change? You and I were talking about it before. It's like, who do we vote for now? Like, it's I know I'll say it. I'm an avid Liberal supporter, but it's not. It doesn't give me hope that change either. So it's like, oh well, we'll see. Look, equity comes with clean hands, so I'm sure over time it'll as a community we'll roll out of it in a better position than we currently are. But yeah, interesting.
It is. It's definitely a hard landscape out there, but there's opportunities in these times. And like we said, for the last 50 years, we went through all the data. Every time we've had a correction, it surpassed the previous high. Let's see if it does it again.
One thing I do know is I have to work harder.
Yeah.
One thing I do know, I have to work harder, and that's probably my quickest and saving grace. So yeah.
Awesome. Well, thanks, guys. Thanks, Mark. Thanks, Luke and Lisa for chiming in and for the comments. Have a great day, everyone, and let's see what happens next. It'll be interesting.
Thanks, Josh. Thank you, Mr. Economist.
No,
Josh Wapshot. Cheers, bud. Bye.
Yeah, bye.
Oh.